Hey guys, my name is Chantel. Welcome back to my channel and thanks for hanging out with me today. So, yeah, it's just my voice today and I'm sorry about that. It's just I do not have my camera at the moment. My brother is actually borrowing it for the rest of this fall season, so you guys will have to get used to just hearing my voice. I hope you guys don't mind. I'm gonna try to make this as entertaining as I can, but bear with me until then. But yeah, so about last week, if you guys were wondering why I didn't, record for Idolish7, that is because I just did not feel great health-wise. It's a long thing that I gotta explain, but just know that I am doing a lot better. I feel okay now. Anyway, so that's why you guys haven't been seeing any videos from me lately, so I'm just trying to take it easy now. Anyway. So, try not to make that long, so let's go ahead and move on to talking about episode 6 of Idolish7 Second Beat. So let's start off from the beginning. So we open up this episode with our trigger group, and Ten seems very upset, clearly, and it looks like he pretty much regrets saying things the way that he did to Riku. So much so that obviously Gaku knows, and I mean he was there when some of it went down, and he mentions how, he probably hates you now, and obviously Ten is like, no, there's no way. He doesn't. Like, he's in complete denial. But man, oh man, that last week's episode was really, really intense. And yeah, I mean, Ten, I really wish that he could have said things a little bit differently. It really came out harsher than needed to be, and it just, my gosh, I really wish I could have talked about last week's episode. I had like a lot to say, but obviously, I physically couldn't anyway. But yeah, so obviously this is gonna be on his mind because we do see a little glimpse throughout the episode where he is thinking about it still, and obviously he doesn't want to talk about it with the members of Trigger, so much so that he starts rubbing salt in the wound and says, well, it's not like I'm the one that got rejected twice. And I was like, ooh, like y'all are just throwing salt at each other like back and forth at this moment, like damn. Which then enters Rivale, and they have some news for Trigger. And then we basically don't know what that is until we switch over to Idolish7. So now that we're on the topic of the I7 group, let's talk about our boy Riku. Riku seems to be doing okay. He's trying to act very cheerful, happy-go-lucky, usual Riku. And I love that the boys are like, man, he's really trying to force it. And I'm just like, leave him alone. He just had a fight with his brother. Which obviously Riku is trying really hard not to call Tenni, and he's trying to call him Kujo. And oh, this precious little bean. He's like trying so hard. Like, if anything, he's more determined to prove Ten wrong, that he can do this and he's up for this. And that, he can stand right beside his brother. He wants to prove that really, really badly, clearly. And I really hope our precious baby boy does prove him wrong and that he can do it. Like, I believe in you, Riku. Which goes into the next thing I do want to talk about, which is Sogo and Tamaki. So they are basically arguing what's new. I feel like Tamaki always has something that he's upset about with Sogo, and like they're just always butting heads. I don't want to say always, but they always have some bumps on the road here and there, but they do definitely care about each other for sure. And well, Tamaki is very, very upset, clearly, that Rivale ate his king pudding. And the thing that caught my attention during this argument was when Tamaki said that he feels that Sogo pushes him aside and prioritizes everyone else's needs before Tamaki. And Sogo's like, no, that's not what I'm trying to do here. That's not what that is. And Tamaki's like, well, you need to think about how I would feel and stuff. Like, you had the choice to tell him no and stuff. And I'm just like, well, he does have a point. Like, I see both sides. And it's really hard to say like who's right and who's wrong because both of them make valid points. Like Sogo, as he said, those are his senpais. He needs to respect them. Like, how can he not say no? But he also, at the same time, you can't be a people pleaser either. It's just, it kind of sucks. Like, I feel like Sogo's just kind of stuck in the middle, where he's just like, I don't know what to do. But my thing that concerns me is that with Tamaki saying how he feels like he's being pushed aside, I really hope that doesn't like come to fruition or something later on in the season, because if it does, I don't know, man. Like, I'm just scared that's like foreshadowing there, I'm scared. Which then leads into Sumugi announcing to everybody that she has some really, really good news, and that is that Rivale wants them to perform as their surprise guest and form a formation thing, like a special thing with Trigger. And they plan on doing this on the final day of the Zero Arena thing, and to basically celebrate Rivale's 5th anniversary. Which then we have like this little cut where we just basically go back to Trigger for a little bit, and we see them talking to Rivale, and Rivale is basically filling them in with what Sumugi just said. And when they're discussing this, we see Ten looking very sad. So much so that Yuki notices, and he's like, are you not up for it? And he's like, no. Like, don't worry, we'll do it. Like, he just like changes so quick. Like, honestly, I'm kind of impressed that he can like just push his feelings aside like that and just go like work mode. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. But like, it's understandable. Sometimes you do have to push your feelings, your personal feelings aside for work and not let it distract you. But at the same time, I'm like, oh, like that's like, I just want him to think about Riku and make things right. That's all I want. That's all I want. Anyway, so obviously this is affecting him, but I don't think it's going to affect him like work-wise. I would be really surprised if it does, but we'll see what happens. Which then leads into the next thing that I want to talk about, which is Trigger's manager. So we skip over to where she's talking to Gaku's dad, which basically what she's doing is filling him in on Rivale's plans about that. What's interesting here is what, as Momo calls him, Papa Yatome, says that Kujo has an interest in the Zero Arena stuff that's happening, which piqued my interest hearing that. I was like, that's interesting. And he even says how there's gotta be a reason why he's so interested in this, but obviously we don't know why, and I'm sure we'll find out later. But the thing that really caught my attention was when he said that he's training someone in secret. And at first I thought, well, it's probably 10, but then I was like, wait a minute, in secret? Like, what? Like, after thinking about it for a little while, I'm like, that's actually interesting. Like, what does that mean? Like, who is he training? Like, who is this person that he's keeping secret? Like, that I want to know, which I'm sure we'll probably see later on. I don't know how far later on, but I'm actually really curious about that, because like, why point that out now? Like, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but that just really interested me, and I'm like, a new person, like, that's, oh boy. Which kind of makes me curious if Ten knows, but I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Anyway, so going back to the manager, so when she's done talking to him, we see Rivale popping in again. They've been making a lot of appearances in this episode, and they basically have like this bag, and they're talking, and I love how during this whole thing, the manager is like, do you have the goods? And Momo just whips out this picture of Nagi that's signed and kissed, and I was like, oh, that's why he had Nagi do all these weird things in last week's episode. Because I thought that was really weird, and I was like, maybe he just wants it for like a family member or something. But little did I know that it was going to be for Trigger's manager, which is really surprising. I did not see this coming. I know I saw like the fandom like somewhat hint at it, but it was really, really vague. Like, the Idolish7 fans are really, really good at being super vague about things. which is like, like, I don't think I've ever seen any other fandom do that. Like, but then again, I don't really dive into the fandoms too much. But yeah, anyway, like I said, I seen it here and there, but I just didn't think too much about it. But now all this makes sense. Like, those little hints make sense now. So that was interesting and very surprising. As I said, I did not expect that out of the manager. And I love how Momo was like, you don't have to keep the secret that you're a fan. And she's like, no, I gotta keep my work life and my private life separate. It's like, my gosh, like, she's just like full on fangirling. And I'm like sitting there with a surprised Pikachu face. It was just a like I said, really interesting aside I didn't think we would ever see. Like, it was interesting, but I really love how she was just fangirling over like the freaking, I think it's a Nagi pillow. Like, it was just so funny. I really enjoyed that moment. And I hope we get more moments like that because like I said, I really, really liked it. Which then, since we're focusing already on Rivale, let's talk about the meeting. So the meeting just has like everyone that's involved together with Rivale and just to discuss the details. But what I really like is that before the meeting started, Tsumugi is with Yamato, and I love how Yamato is like telling Tsumugi to be careful of guys like Gaku and stuff because they're playboys and stuff. And Gaku's like, I'm not a playboy, like my poor boy. He's like, he like has like a little blush going on there, and he's just like trying to say, I'm not a bad guy, like I'm not a playboy. Like, it's so cute. Anyway, sorry, I'm gushing about Gaku. Gaku's such a precious being. I love him so much, and I ship him with Tsumugi. Like, they're just so cute. Anyway, I just had to mention that moment because I thought that was really adorable. Which, actually, we do meet Rivale's manager for the first time ever, and he seems like such a sweetheart. I hope we get to see more of him. Anywho, going back to the meeting, Rivale does drop some news that we haven't heard of yet, which basically they say that they're going to cover one of Zero's songs, and everybody is shocked. And even I'm kind of shocked because I'm like, wait, isn't Zero like an untouchable thing? Like, no one dares to like mess with like his stuff and all that stuff, like all those things. And it was just really interesting, and they're all like, that's actually really bold of you. Like, my first initial thought was like, how are they not scared of like the backlash? Because that's immediately where my brain went, was like, they're gonna get a lot of backlash. Because then I can't remember who said it, but I think it was either Yamato or Gaku or somebody. They were like, but no one's ever done, a cover of his song. Like how are you guys doing this? And I love that Yuki says, if you're gonna be afraid of backlash, you're never gonna move forward, and we need to encourage everyone else to be courageous. And I'm like, that's actually really, really cool. And again, I'm really surprised that Rivale is taking the stride to do this. Like, that takes a lot of guts. Like, I don't think I could ever do that. Like, just especially like within the music industry, like I feel like there's always, like, even then, like with anything, there's always going to be backlash with whatever there is. Like, I'm kind of scared for Rivale, so I don't know how the fans are going to take this, especially because they did say that Zero's fans are very, very intense, and I'm like, oh boy, I just hope that they're prepared. But it seems like they're mentally prepared, but it's one thing to be mentally prepared than actually experiencing it. So I'm like, even then, I'm still a little bit nervous for them, but I have faith in them that they'll be okay. Which, moving on after this, let's talk about Mezzo. So they have like this TV thing and the recording, and again, Tamaki and Sogo aren't just in the best place with each other right now. They're kind of butting heads. Sogo's trying really, really hard to make things work. And when Sogo is waiting for Tamaki outside, we hear a voice, a girl's voice, where she asks if Tamaki was around. And I kid you not, I was not prepared for this moment. When we see who it is, I lost it. My god, we see Tamaki's sister, his sister, like, what? I was completely speechless, but also like screaming on the inside. Like, I cannot tell you like how badly I was freaking out over this moment. Like, I had to pause for a second and like give myself a moment because of like what is happening right now. And during this moment, I'm like, oh my god, please tell me Tamaki's gonna show up out of nowhere. Please tell me he's gonna show up because he needs to see this. He needs to be here. Like, where is Tamaki? Like, oh my god, like the whole time I was like, Tamaki, hurry it up, please. Like, your sister's out here. And she's like asking Sogo questions like, oh, how is he? And you know, Sogo answers them and he's like, oh yeah, he's fine and all. And she's like, oh, okay, that's enough for me. And Sogo is like trying to figure things out. Like, he's like, why does she seem a little bit familiar? And then it clicks and he's like, wait a minute, are you Aya? And that's when she like starts to freak out and she's like no, I was never here. If you tell him that I was here, then like I'm gonna do something really bad. And then Sogo's like, wait, what? And she just like runs off and she drops her little charm, which the little charm really piqued my interest because it's like a little 4-leaf clover and then there's 2 like little balls at the end that are like 2 different shades of blue. And I'm like, does that, like, the little balls does that represent like Tamaki and her? Maybe I'm just looking into that too much, but like that's just the feeling that I get. Anyway, yeah, like that whole scene was really intense because the minute that she said, like, basically threatened, like, oh, like, if you tell him I'm gonna do this, it's just like, no, like, girl, you just, no, like, she just put so much pressure on Sogo, and I really hope that Sogo does tell Tamaki about this and not keep it to himself, because if he keeps it to himself, I feel like that's gonna cause a big old rift between the two, and it's just gonna cause like this whole disaster. But at the same time, like I said, I don't want this girl to hurt herself or anything. It's just, oh my gosh, that's a lot of pressure for poor Sogo. Like, that was intense. So speaking of intense, it gets more intense as the episode goes on. Yay! So now moving on to the next thing that I do want to talk about, which is Mitsuki. So Mitsuki, it seems like he's finally gained his confidence. He finally feels at peace of where he's at, to the point where he starts to tell Nagi, because he has this really cute moment with Nagi that actually made me tear up a little bit here. And he basically says how he doesn't care if he is like in last place and he isn't like the fan favorite and all that stuff. He's made his peace with it, and he's glad that he's able to do something and contribute to the group, and how he's finally gained his confidence through the emceeing that he's been doing. And I was just like, my heart was melting, and he's like, you know, I'm gonna treat myself today and go on a little shopping trip. And I was like, oh my god, like, you deserve it, sweet boy. But then it all comes shattering down within minutes when he's out shopping and he hears these group of girls like talking about I guess like the TV show or TV slot that they have, or whatever it is. That they're talking about it and how they love it and all that stuff. And Mitsuki's like hiding in the corner. He's just like, oh my gosh, like he gets really excited because they're talking about it. And he's like, oh my god, I'm glad that they like it. But then they start talking smack about Mitsuki. And I've never wanted to fight these girls so badly. And I was like, just again, screaming again on the inside. And I was like, no way, like this is not happening. This is not happening. Like this is not happening. Mitsuki finally gained his confidence. And now I feel like it just all came crashing down, and it just went away thanks to these group of girls, and it just sucks. It sucks so bad. I didn't like seeing him cry. Like it broke me. This whole part broke me. It was really hard to watch, and watching this, it actually reminded me a lot of Taylor Swift's stuff when she was getting dragged all over the internet way back when. Like, I know that's a weird thing to compare it to, but that's like the thing that I like immediately thought of when I saw all this go down. And I'm like, this is kind of feeling like a lot like the Taylor Swift situation a little bit, where people were just dragging her on the internet like left and right and calling her mean things. And you know, in the real world, you do see this kind of stuff, like whether it be with idols or boy band groups, like you constantly see this. Like I'll be like on the sidelines and you see people like fighting who's like the best boy or who's the best and who's like not the best. And like, it's just like, why are you comparing these human beings? Like they're human beings, like stop it. They have feelings and stuff, like, you know, like they're gonna see this kind of stuff. It just, man, like fandom sucks sometimes, and I think we're finally like starting to see that side now in Idolish7, where it's like the darker side of like fandoms and stuff, which, you know, again, it sucks. Which, since we're talking about like fandom stuff, let's talk about my boy Riku, because at the end of this episode, we see Riku like looking through his like Twitter, and he sees that people are also talking bad about him. And they're saying that he shouldn't come back, that Yuri is fine, all that, you know, Idolish7 is doing way better without Riku as the center. And I'm just like, no, like the whole time I was like, again, screaming on the inside and like hoping for someone to take his phone away. Like I was just like, Riku, please stop scrolling, please, no. And he just is completely broken, and he's just obviously gonna like, oh my god. This was also really hard to watch. I did not like it. I was like, why are people so mean? But again, this is also, it comes with being an idol, being an artist. You're gonna see this type of thing, and it sucks seeing our boys go through this. I don't think they were ever mentally prepared for this kind of thing, and it sucks to see them go through this, especially like two boys that are just so sweet. Like all of them are very, very sweet, clearly. It just sucks that we're seeing this kind of side. Like, oh, like I don't like it. Which again, I hope this episode also makes other people see, like, you need to be careful what you say out on the internet, because you never know how it's gonna affect the person that you're talking about. Like, you know, it just be nice. Be nice. Like, why can't people be nice? So now talking about the last bit of this episode, which is after the end credits, and that is with Rivale. So this really interested me because we see Yuki like talking to someone on the phone, like a little bit like frustrated and angry, and try to see if he can get things to work out for, I guess, their 5th anniversary concert thing that they have going on. And Momo was gonna come in with snacks, and he like slowly backs away. And what caught my attention and has me terrified is when Momo says that he doesn't have much time left. And I'm like, whoa, hold on. What do you mean you don't have much time left? Immediately I thought, oh my god, is he sick? Or he's gonna leave Rivale. And I am terrified to find out what it is, which one it is. Like, no, please, like, no. I feel like we're about to head into sad boy hours with Momo, and I am not ready. I am not mentally prepared to see what's gonna happen. I'm scared to see what's gonna happen next with Momo. Like, what do you mean, precious baby boy? Like, what does that mean? Like, I'm scared, you guys. Anyway, you guys, that is all my thoughts that I have to say for Idolish7 episode 6. I hope you guys enjoyed hearing my overall thoughts, even though you guys can't see my face. I hope you guys enjoyed regardless. And yeah, so I hope you guys are staying safe and healthy out there, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye!